Hey there, let me ask you a question. When you hear the term budget, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Is it positive? Is it negative? I asked this question to a group of teenagers who were taking a financial literacy workshop. And I was actually pretty surprised to hear them say things like, it sounds restrictive or it sounds boring. My first thought was, how does a teenager even know what a budget is? But they're obviously getting this information from somewhere because that's exactly what adults say. And I get it because budgets can be a bit uninspiring and just boring. So in this video, what I am going to do is I'm going to talk to you about why personal budgets rarely work and what can you do so that you can still achieve your financial goals without stressing over creating a traditional budget. Hey there, beautiful people. Renee Collins here, CPA, financial planner, and the founder of Retire Ready. Retire Ready is a firm that is dedicated to helping families as well as business owners to take control of their money, to build a healthy relationship with their money so that they can save more, invest smart, and build wealth. Now, if this is your first time at this channel and you find this information useful, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. And I want to thank you for being here. First, let me tell you why I don't like budgets. And I'm going to start with defining a budget. So I went to Google and I said, hey Google, what is a budget? Do you know I got 1.7 trillion search results around defining a budget? I decided that I was going to just create a simplified definition of a budget. A budget is a plan that you can write down, preferably, and it outlines what your expected income and expected expenses are going to be over a period of time. Now, it seems like a harmless definition, right? But here's the truth. Very few people use budgets. As a matter of fact, CNBC did a study and they said that 78% of people do not regularly use a budget. And so the question is, why? Why don't they use a budget? Because a budget is really a great tool for building wealth. So here is what I surmise. Budgets have a negative connotation. When I talk to my clients about a budget, most of them look at me like I just said a four-letter word. There's such a negative connotation associated with the term. There's this perception that a budget has all these restrictions and that it limits your ability to spend your money the way that you want to spend it. And let's be honest, nobody wants anyone telling them what they can and cannot do with their money. There's this feeling that a budget is going to stop you from enjoying your life, from taking the Caribbean vacation with your girlfriends, or it's going to stop you from buying the latest, greatest gadget from Apple. Here's the other thing. We live in this society that often associates spending our money with happiness and joy. So then it would make sense that if there's any restrictions or discipline that comes with, say, saving, that could evoke feelings of denial and also instigate these negative feelings of emotions such as stress, guilt, or dissatisfaction. Managing a budget, it can also be frustrating. Now, I personally find that tracking a budget is tedious and I don't do it. I've tried a variety of different apps and I just gave up because I kept going over my budget in certain categories and it was just frustrating. Have you ever experienced this? Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that I don't look at my money and I don't manage my money, because I definitely do. But I have a system and I have a process for managing my money. And I'm going to share that with you later on in the video. The other problem with budgets is that they have this tendency to focus on the past. And let's admit that sometimes looking at our past, that can be a bit painful. That means that we have to look at our spending habits and our patterns, and then we have to acknowledge what went well and what didn't go as well as expected. And if you haven't managed your money well in the past, well, let's say that working on a budget, that can evoke feelings of anxiety, guilt, and shame. And sometimes it can be tough to confront your past financial mistakes. And then budgets, they don't always align our income exactly with our expenses. So a traditional monthly budget, it doesn't work well in real life because most of us, we don't get paid on a monthly basis. We get paid either weekly, bi-weekly, and then some of us have irregular incomes and we're not quite sure when we're going to get paid. So it can be tough to align your expenses perfectly to your income. Trying to predict our upcoming expenses or account for every single dollar that we spend, again, it can become an exercise in frustration. Not to mention that our lives, they change. They're not rigid like a budget. And so we have to make sure that we're making adjustments along the way. So I say that there's a better approach to a budget. I decided, that's it, I'm done with budgets. Instead, I am going to create a spending plan. And I'm going to give it a name. One that makes me get excited about my money. Who doesn't want to get excited about their money? I am going to name my spending plan a financial freedom plan. And you may be asking, well, Renee, what's the difference? It's just words, right? It's just a name. Words matter. In Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, he says this about words. Words have been used to make us laugh and cry. They can wound or they can heal. They offer us hope or devastation. With words, we can make our noblest intentions felt with our deepest desires known. So in a nutshell, words matter. What we believe about our lives, the way we see the world, our beliefs, and the way we manage our money, they are all formed by words. When describing your money, I encourage you to use words that inspire you and evoke feelings of abundance. Now, let's shift from this perspective of limitation to a perspective of empowerment. So instead of focusing on what you can't do with your money, a spending plan, it emphasizes what you can do. It speaks to that potential for growth and excitement of planning for your future. And can you just imagine the peace of mind that comes when you have control over your financial destiny? So to me, this is not just some exercise in rebranding. It's really a proactive strategy, and it encourages us to be more optimistic and confident in managing our money. So then how do we create this inspirational, aspirational spending plan? Let me say this. You can use a number of methods. There is the 50-30-20 plan where you take 50% of your income and you're going to allocate it towards your needs, such as your housing, your utilities, your groceries. You'll take 30% and you'll allocate that towards your wants. And then you can take 20% and allocate that towards your debt and your savings. Then there's also the 80-20 method where the emphasis there is actually on savings. You're going to save 20% of your money and then you can use 80% on everything else. You have to decide what works for you. This method, whether it's the 80-20 method or it's the 50-30-20 method, neither one may work for you. It really depends upon where you are in your savings journey, your retirement planning journey. It just depends. It depends on your financial situation. So you have to decide what works for you, because what works for your neighbor, what works for your coworker, it may not work for you. Now, actually for me, I use probably what you would call a money management system. I basically create multiple bank accounts and I give each one a function. So I have a savings account, a retirement account. I have an account for my operations, which basically pays for all of my needs. And then I also have a fun bucks account. And that is the account that I use for, hanging out with my friends, entertainment. I can buy all the lattes that I want to buy, and I don't have to watch every single penny. And I'm going to be honest with you, I do use an app. I use a budgeting app, or if you want to call it a spending plan app, but not so much to track every single dollar as to use it to really as a tool so that I can track my milestones, so that I can track my financial goals. So I've set financial goals that I want to achieve, and I use a spending plan that's called Monarch Money, and it does allow me to track my net worth in it, and I can just stay connected to my money. So I will go into my app probably 4 to 5 times a week just so that I can see where my money is going, making sure that I'm still on target to achieve my goals. And more than anything, because we are in this digital world, it helps me to stay connected to my money. But like I said before, figure out what works for you and create a system. And whatever system that you do create, I say put it on autopilot so that you don't have to look at your money every single day, or you don't have to worry about like where every dollar or every penny is going. Because to me, that's a lot of work. And then that is, like I said before, an exercise in frustration. So here are some tips on managing your money without necessarily using a budget, so to speak. 1, create a spending plan and then give it an inspirational name. I told you the name that I have for my spending plan is my Financial Freedom Plan. That makes me motivated to get out and achieve my financial goals, and it just makes me feel like my money is going towards what's really important to me. And then that's really going to be the next tip, is to figure out what's important to you. What are your values? What is it that you want your money to do for you? And when you're creating your spending plan, just make sure that you have a line item in that plan for the things that matter most. Because studies show that when we're allocating our money towards the things that matter most to us, that's where we have the greatest fulfillment and happiness in our lives. And then here's your next tip. Determine what are your key categories. You'll probably have a category for housing, utilities, maybe insurance, things along those lines. So create a list and determine how much do you want to allocate to each category. And then I have here a percentage of what is recommended by some financial experts. But remember, everyone's financial situation is as unique as a fingerprint. So you have to decide what works for you. What is recommended for the masses may not necessarily be recommended for you. And then here's the last tip. Revisit your spending plan on a regular basis, or at least I would say probably at least quarterly, and make adjustments as you need to depending upon your circumstances. If your income increases, or there are changes in your family, or there are changes with your financial goals, feel free to make changes to your spending plan. And then stay focused on the big vision rather than obsessing over every single dollar. Have a plan for your money. It can really help you to develop a healthier relationship with your money, and it can help you become more intentional with where your money goes without necessarily feeling trapped. So if that hasn't worked for you much in the past, ditch it. Ditch the restrictive approach and instead try a spending plan. The benefits include reduced stress, and then also more mindfulness about your money and your financial habits, because you want your financial habits to support your goals and what matters most to you. So give this new system a try. You could either do the 50, 30, 20 budget, try the 80-20, or like I said, just do a system. Have a system for your money that works for you. The idea is that whatever is working for you, it is allowing you to achieve your financial goals with a peace of mind. And it allows you to be more intentional and working towards your long-term vision for your money. Well, that's all I have for this time, guys. Listen, you guys go be great, and remember that everything you need to succeed is within you. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye.